In this lesson video, we are going to cover how to join and separate objects. If you have two objects or more, and you want to edit them together, you need to join them first. Now, since Blender 2.8, you can enter the edit mode while having multiple objects selected. So for example, if I have these two cubes selected and then enter the edit mode by pressing Tab, you can perform editing operations in both of these objects. You can extrude this face, for example, or you can also extrude this face. But because both of these meshes actually belong to different objects, you cannot perform modeling operations that connect these meshes. If, for example, I select this vertex, then this vertex, and then press F to create an edge, Blender won't do anything. Or if I select this face, and then this face, and then right-click and choose Bridge Faces here, Blender will just throw this error message. So again, this is something you need to understand. If you want to fully edit the meshes and perform all of the 3D modeling features that Blender can offer, you need to join these objects first. Let's go back to the object mode. To join objects, first, you need to be in the object mode. Then, you need to select two or more mesh objects in the scene. Next, this is something to keep in mind. Before joining the objects, you need to make sure that the main object is the active object. The one that has a brighter color, which is this cube, is the active object. And when you join these two objects together, this cube will become part of this object. So, if we look at the outliner, this is the active object because the icon here is brighter. When we join these two, the mesh data here will be transferred to this mesh data. And the container of it, which is cube 001, will be erased from the scene. To join the objects, make sure the mouse cursor is in the viewport area and then press Ctrl J. If you forget the shortcut, you can also right-click and then choose Join here. Or you can go to the object menu up here and then choose Join here. Now, we don't see the cube 001 object anymore in the outliner. If we press Tab to go to the edit mode, we can now perform bridge faces as we expected. After learning to join objects, it just makes sense now that we learn how to separate them. To do that, first, you need to make sure that you are in the edit mode. Then you need to select the sub-objects you want to separate. For example, if I select this face here, then press Ctrl Numpad Plus to grow the selection. Then to make these selected faces become an independent object, you can press letter P key on the keyboard. You will see three options. The first option will separate the selected sub-objects. The second method will automatically separate the mesh based on their material assignment. And the last option will automatically separate the mesh also, but based on loose parts. We will see more about this option later. For now, because we want to separate the selected faces, then we need to select the first option. Now, as we can see, we cannot select this part anymore because this area has become a new object called cube 001. If you forget the shortcut, you can also use the right-click method. You can see the separate command down here with all of the options. Or you can also go to the mesh menu up here and then choose separate here, okay? One last technique I want to discuss in this lesson video is splitting meshes. If we are in the edit mode and we have some faces selected like this, for example, if we right-click, we can see besides separate, there is also an option here called split, and the shortcut for it is Y. Now, splitting is different than separating. Essentially, splitting will just create a loose part in your model, but the resulting part is still inside the same object. It will not create a new object. So, for example, if we want to split this face, just press Y. And the result is, when we try to move this face, we can see it will not affect the surrounding structure because these four vertices are not attached anymore to these vertices. Or in other words, they become new independent vertices. Now, if you select this face, then press Y, then this face, and then press Y again, we now have multiple loose parts. In this condition, If we press P and then choose by loose parts, then go back to the object mode, we can see each of the previous loose parts has become independent objects.